to some of your meetings before. Do I need to do anything with that, or is that?
If everyone's not Suzanne could just mute, that'd be great. I think that's
Okay. So anyway, some of you may remember me, but for those of you who don't, I am one of the co-chairs of Sustainable Sewickley, along with Neil and Karen, who are also on this call. And I'll kind of turn things over to them a little later, but I live in Edgeworth. So we are here today to talk to you about a couple of things, but we are also very interested in advocating for a permanent glass recycling location somewhere in Quaker Valley. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, I'll tell you just a little bit about Sustainable Sewickley. We are a community group that has over 2,000 followers on social media. So find us on Facebook and Instagram, tell people in your towns about us. We have monthly meetings, and our mission is to promote, share, and adopt sustainable efforts in the Quaker Valley communities and beyond. Most of our activities center around initiatives that reduce carbon emissions or improve waste management. For instance, this fall, we have a promotion on social media that gives tips on how each of us can lower our carbon footprint. They include things like, buying an electric car or installing solar panels, or even just, buying locally. We also support initiatives like zero waste at local events. In fact, we're working with Julie to make Light Up Night in Sewickley a zero waste event this year. So we're really excited about that. And of course, we are always working for better recycling. Finally, we host events like offering a tour of a passive house, or this past September, we hosted an electric car event. So we are here today to encourage you all to support a local glass recycling location. And I will tell you that this is one of the most important things that our members talk about. And it is something that we are always hearing from everyone in the community. People want a permanent glass recycling solution. So we would encourage all of you to go back to your councils and advocate for, a line item in your 2022 budgets for glass recycling, either a permanent solution in 2022, or once again, to support the PRC traveling glass bin as we have the last couple of years. And know that Sustainable Sewickley is also here to support either of these efforts. But again, we'd love to see a permanent solution. And I just want to remind you that we are here and available to you as a resource to facilitate COG-wide, sustainable initiatives. We would be happy to work with Patrick to bring speakers to your meetings or to provide a list of resources to help with things like doing energy audits of your municipal or government buildings, or getting electric car charging stations at your municipal buildings or parks or somewhere in your towns, and other efforts. Neil Simakis and Karen Gilbraith are on the call as well tonight, and they're going to tell you a little bit more about some initiatives and opportunities. First, Neil will tell you about the success of our food scrap pickup program. We know Kyle came and spoke to you, but we just kind of want to tell you the story from our perspective. And again, we would love to see that something like this offered COG-wide. And Karen will tell you about a municipal solar installation, which we would also love to see happening in some towns in the QVCOG. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Neil Simakis. Neil?
Thanks, Suzanne. Hi, everyone, and thanks again for having us. I'm going to be really brief. We have a lot of initiatives going on. We gathered a lot of steam, surprisingly enough, during the pandemic. I think people being able to attend the Zoom meetings kind of made it easier and grew our membership and our interest. But one of the most exciting things that happened this past year was we met with Kyle Winkler from Zero Waste Wrangler and talked about the possibility of establishing a curbside food scrap collection that would encompass many more things than a backyard composter could accommodate. So things like meats and cheeses and, greasy paper wrappers, all sorts of things. And in addition to the typical fruit and vegetable scraps from the kitchen. So he may have told you, but he fleshed out the program. We launched a Kickstarter and we were successful with that. So the first pickup happened in July, and I just touched base with him yesterday to see where we stand. And he said since then he has collected over 10,300 pounds just from the Osborne, Sewickley, Edgeworth footprint, which is not all of the boroughs, but it's a footprint that we started with in our pilot program. So I was blown away by that number. And he also told me that this has enabled the launch of residential collection in parts of Ben Avon and Ben Avon Heights, and that he's continuing to add to our footprint in our little community area of Osborne, Edgeworth, and Sewickley. So it's just been a huge success. And as more and more people see the 5-gallon bucket outside at our curbs, they're asking more questions and they're getting added to the collection route. So again, like Suzanne said, if you want to spread the word and encourage that, it's growing fast, and we're super excited about its success. So now I'm going to hand it over to Karen Galbraith, and she's going to talk just a little bit about the solar panel effort. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Galbraith. I live in Edgeworth. Thanks again for having us here. In addition to everything that my co-chairs have already said, I wanted to mention some great strides that Fox Chapel has taken in recent weeks. They have decided to power its borough buildings using solar energy. They are one of the first municipalities in Pennsylvania to take this step, and at least some of the cost is being mitigated through the use of federal stimulus grants. I know as an organization, we would love to see this happen in some of our communities here. And like Suzanne kind of mentioned, we would be happy to be a resource for all of you, whether it be looking for funding avenues or helping in any way we can to further sustainability initiatives here in Quaker Valley. I think that's all I have. So anyways, thanks again from Suzanne, Neil, and me, and thanks for having us tonight.
Thank you for having that presentation. I can't thank you guys enough for coming on the call today. So does anyone have any questions for members of Sustainable Sewickley?
This is John Sapp here. I wanted to thank you for coming again. The COG has been talking about the recycling center, the solar initiatives. We've had those initiatives for years, and we couldn't get enough traction. But that definitely doesn't mean that we shouldn't try again. So again, if you guys are pushing it, it puts some wind in our sails to resume the work that we've done there, and hopefully we're successful this time. So I believe you'll get a lot of support from members of our COG. So yeah, this is exciting.
And just one quick thing about the Glass Center. I'll be meeting with Sarah Alicia O'Shea for the further discussion. We've had discussions, and they've given us quotes on the transportation of glass dumpsters, and they've gotten a little farther as far as grants and receiving grant money for the purchase of these dumpsters. So that could reduce our costs. So I'll be meeting with her again tomorrow to dive a little deeper into this and hopefully get a more concrete picture of what we're looking at as far as costs, and I can then relay that to our members. That way you guys can plan and budget accordingly as far as if you're going to participate.
Paul Guest from Emsworth. As far as the solar panel, Emsworth was lucky enough to be under grant previously when we looked at the solar panel. And we have enough roof space between our bar garage, our municipal building, and installing a solar array in our community park and using it as an educational tool for school children, that we would be 100% powered by the solar panels. We have the documentation for that. It's just following up with how we want to do it.
That's fantastic. Excellent. Very exciting.
All right. So next up, we have the consideration of approval for a resolution applying on behalf of Ben Avon Borough for a 2022 Gaming Economic Development and Tourism Fund grant. So just a quick background, on October 22nd, the COG submitted a Gaming and Economic Development Tourism Fund grant through the Allegheny County Redevelopment Authority. Ben Avon is seeking $200,000 in order to rehabilitate some portions of their borough building, the roof, some lead-based paint, asbestos abatement, and so on. The current municipal building was constructed in 1920 and houses the council chambers, and at one point in time, police headquarters, firefighting services, as well as community activities such as the Avon Club and the War Veterans Club. So we have submitted an application, and by using the COG, Ben Avon is subject to the utilization fee and the utilization percentage if they are awarded that grant. That information can all be found here. So more or less, we just need formal approval to sign off on this resolution, and then I'll submit this to the county sort of post after the fact. So they don't need the resolution at the time of submission, but this is just going to be able to give that to them after I submit it.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
No, I can't make a motion because I'm running the meeting.
Right.
I'll make the motion.
Got a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Hey, Paul, if I may make a suggestion, do you mind doing roll call for approval of the motions, given that so many of our members are on Zoom?
No, that's
So we
fine.
have a formal recording, and I think that would be awesome.
Good idea, thank you.
Aleppo Township,
Here. Approve.
Bell Acres, Bellevue,
Sorry, aye.
Ben Avon,
Aye.
Edgeworth, Emsworth,
Yes.
Glen Osborne, Glenfield,
Aye.
Keysville,
Aye.
Buck,
Yes.
Leet, Leetsdale, Sewickley, Sewickley Heights.
Aye.
Motion's carried.
Okay, so I will get that over to John Sebastian for a signature and then forward over to the county. So thank you for that. Next up, so the charity that we raised money for at the annual dinner was the 412 Food Rescue. Read a story about them a few months back. They more or less developed a software program that coordinates food waste from restaurants and grocery stores and everything in between, and gives the ability for volunteers to basically pick up that food waste once it's been marked on this app and delivered to those in need, whether it's through food banks or individuals. So I thought it was a really innovative way to tackle an ever-growing problem in our country. So that's who we raised money for. We were able to raise $450 with the help of our friends at Robinson Pipe Cleaning Company, who donated 4 Penguins tickets, as well as HHM Insurers, who donated a $50 gift card, and Lee Township, who donated a gift basket. I want to give a shout out to Edgeworth Mayor, Dr. Gary Smith, who donated his 50-50 raffle winning to the organization as well. So all of those funds went directly to 412 Food Rescue. And their director gave us a Food Rescue Hero shout out in an email here that's in your packets. So our specific amount, not the mayor's who donated his proceeds, were $233 plus his $233. So glad it's going to a good cause, and thank you for all those who contributed to the raffles. So next up on our new business is the approval of the 2022 budget. So just a quick recap, during the September 15th regular board meeting, one of the highlights was a 10% dues increase for the 2022 fiscal year. That's going to be included in this budget. I didn't feel any additional comments concerning the budget that was presented at that meeting. So some of the highlights are a decrease in revenues from the CDBG program of approximately $10,000. This more or less is just because we have less staff and we're requesting less money because of that due to their calculations. An additional $10,416 in anticipated revenues will be implemented from the franchise fee for the upcoming garbage and recycling service contract. And that's the first time this has been implemented. So that's a new batch of money. We're anticipating about $14,000 in revenues decreasing from the various programs that will not be continued or have been cut back a bit, including the financial services program that Susan developed in her time here, and the zoning technical assistance and code enforcement. Those two programs are continuing, and I'm looking to maybe build upon that in the coming year. Lee Township, for example, has had a brief tutorial on the code enforcement aspect of it. So in the coming year, I'll be bringing that and maybe introducing it to everyone again to see if there's an opportunity to go into those different towns. Also, the RAD, the Regional Asset District revenues, took a big hit in 2021. And just due to the uncertainty, I can't bank that that's going to change. So I kept that at the same amount received in 2021 based off of 2020 sales tax revenues. So that's a $4,500 decrease from what we received in 2020. So in summary, the proposed budget is conservative regarding anticipated revenues due to the uncertainty associated with many of our funds, including RAD and the program and service fees. Revenues and expenditures have been scaled back proportionally. The proposed budget is balanced with the assistance of the new garbage and recycling contract franchise fee, as well as the dues increase of 10%, which is the first since 2017. The 2022 budget does reflect several cost savings associated with administrative functions of the COG, including office rent, utilities such as internet and phone service, and administrative payroll. It's the opinion of the executive director that the proposed budget as presented accurately reflects the COG's ability to provide a high level of service to all 15 member municipalities for the 2022 fiscal year and beyond. I've included a summary snapshot of the budget here. Some of the details. In the past, the COG has used Pennsylvania Resources Council, who I mentioned I'll be discussing various things with tomorrow, to retrieve the Act 101 performance grants. I'll be looking to do that in-house this year, which is another way to recoup $5,000 in-house, because that's what they charge to do that on our behalf. So little things like that, just looking to save as much as possible. And I've also budgeted for next year an intern salary of $6,000. I hope to be applying for a municipal intern program through the local government academy next year. So I'll be formulating our application and a couple ideas to run past everybody in the coming weeks and months here. But I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have or any comments.
Patrick, I'll make a comment quickly on this memo. We have a healthy amount of cash in reserve, but as the bylaws are indicating, we have an obligation to maintain this. So this amount reflects, maintaining this pool of money, and so it is required.
This is Julie Barnes from Swickley. I was just want to comment that I was really happy to see the money set aside for the intern. It's a good opportunity for the intern. It's a good opportunity for you to get some help with things.
Yeah, and then to sort of piggyback off that, I did increase our office supplies. We've always been around the $2,000 to $3,000 mark, but we've only budgeted $1,000 usually. But I want to be able to provide them a nice desk and some materials that we don't necessarily have right now. So I budgeted that $3,000 to sort of give our office some TLC for when the time comes for an intern.
Or even a computer to work with, right? So.
Any other comments or anything?
I have a motion to approve the 2022 budget.
second,
Any further discussion? We have a roll call, please.
Sure thing. Aleppo Township.
Aye.
Avalon,
Yes.
Bell Acres. Bellevue,
Aye.
Ben Avon.
Aye.
Edgeworth,
Aye.
Hemsworth,
Aye.
Glen Osborne, Glenfield.
Aye.
Leesville,
Yes.
Hobuck,
Yes.
Wheat, Leedsdale, Sewickley,
Aye.
Sewickley Heights.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. So, as we sort of touched base earlier in the meeting, the recycling and waste contract, the following municipalities, take Leet Township, I got theirs today. So Bellevue, Emsworth, Glenfield, and Kilbuck. I was told that Bellevue passed the resolution, I believe, on Monday, and Glenfield also. So I'm waiting those documents to be relayed over to me. Kilbuck, I believe, also passed theirs last night. So
We did. Yes.
just more or less, just hunting the paper trail, and Emsworth has it on their agenda for November 10th. So that looks like to be wrapping up in the next week or two. So that's good. And next to last, we have again our recycling event here in Avalon. Starts on Saturday through November 5th. I think this ad's wrong. So the October 30th through November 5th. And again, please promote that as much as you can. It's going to only help us with PRC. Last but not least, we have our community development block grant update. So this has even changed since it was built. This is always a moving document here. But some of the things that we need action on. So Leedsdale Borough, we're awaiting the issuance of a demolition permit from building inspector underwriters, who is their third party there. So once that's issued, that project can move forward. I just got the information from Kilbuck, their engineer. So that cost report's been submitted to the county, so that can be ignored. That's right on track. Everything else, there's no direct action needed, but again, it's just something to keep track of for your various towns. And if you do see something on there, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer that. But it just brings everybody into the loop and hopefully moves these projects along. So that's all I have for this evening's meeting.
Thank you. Anything anybody wants to bring up for the good of the cause?
I have one thing. This is Julie Barnes from Sewickley. Is this when we talk about our concerns?
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to let everybody know that we've been having some trouble with waste management. Lately, we have a noise ordinance that they should not be out before 7, and they're coming sometimes before the 6 o'clock hour. And we've had a lot of complaints from residents who've been working with our waste management representative, who is supposed to be getting in touch with the guys on the street, but we have just had no success. So I have some concern about, like how it's sort of a monopoly. And so we're going into this new contract. I don't know. I know we have more recourse in the new contract than what we've had before, because we're going to have this pot of money where we can sort of fine them for these kind of problems. So just wanted to make everybody aware that we are currently having an issue, and hopefully it won't persist, but I'll let you know when it's resolved. If it does persist into 2022, then we may be interested in using our new line of recourse.
Yeah, and just to sort of build upon that. So as Julie mentioned, we're going to have a contract deposit fund. So Waste Management cuts a check, and we sort of are the keepers of it. And as they mess up, right, if they do mess up, there's various fines that are assigned, violating noise ordinance or not picking up a residence after being notified. And there's various details, like they have 24 hours to pick up garbage after they've been notified. But if they don't follow through with that, the COG fines them through that fund, and then we give that money back to you as municipal members of that contract. So it's something that's going to totally depend on the communication between first, the first line of defense should always be the municipalities, right? Reaching out to waste management and notifying them of those issues. But then I'm going to ask the municipalities once a month to provide me with a report where then I can dock that fund and give you guys the repercussions set forth in those bid specifications. So it's only going to work as best as the communication between you guys and the hauler, and then you guys and us. So this is the first time we've ever had anything like this, but I'm excited to see how it works.
Hey, Patrick, if I may make a recommendation, it would be great if you could put together a process, like something where maybe the managers are the point of contact. They send you an email, you put this in some database. I don't know how you want to manage it, but we have a good track record. It's not anecdotal. It's in a way. So if we enforce fines due to the contract, then everything is documented as it should. So that would be my recommendation. Maybe you send an email to the managers and you inform them step 1, step 2, and so forth.
Yeah, I could definitely do that, and I'll do that for our November meeting. I'll bring a little, maybe a streamlined process that I can illustrate and present that for you guys, and then distribute that to the managers as well.
Thank you.
Answer, Julie, Emsworth had the exact same problem with them, starting before the 7 o'clock requested. We did allow them to do Ohio River Boulevard at 6 due to the safety concern of them being on the boulevard. But they, on their own will, decided to enter the rest of the bar, and that's when they had the diesel trucks so much noisier. And after repeated comments and trying to work with the municipal rep, the course action was taken was, we had a police meeting with a cup of coffee. Said, you're not allowed to be in the bar until this time. Here's the contract. You can call your supervisor, but we're only sitting to have coffee till 7 o'clock. So they sat there with them and they got the message in 2 weeks. So they have come into the bar much later.
When was that?
About a year ago.
Okay, because I actually did call the Sewickley Police last week when I heard them out at 6:10. And we have the 911 center as the dispatcher for Sewickley Police. So I asked them to have the police go and ask them to park somewhere until 7. So I don't know exactly how the interaction went because I didn't get any follow-up from our manager yet about it. But I did notice that when I took my daughter to the bus at 9, they were coming by my house. So
Yeah,
they went somewhere.
well, it's better to plan ahead and have that ready.
Yeah,
And it was a friendly discussion of,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
gonna sit here.
yeah.
And after 2 weeks, the guys called.
Okay, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Hey Patrick, this is Curtis from Glenfield. Do you have a point of contact at Waste Management that the municipalities, if they do field complaints from residents, should be sending it to? I mean, I had old contact Mike Christ there at Waste Management, who I've sort of been working through via email and whatnot, but it'd probably be good to have a point of contact with a contact number that the municipalities could lodge their complaints if there are any.
Most definitely. So I have sent that out to our managers in the past, but I can give that to you guys as well, as people that might also field these complaints from residents. So I'll send that out to all of our delegates. There are 2 or 3 different contacts for waste management that were assigned. All of them can do the job. Mike Christ is high man on the totem pole, but he's not necessarily the first person to alert of these notifications. So I'll make sure that gets out tomorrow morning to you guys.
All right, thanks, Patrick.
Hey, just very quickly, Curtis, do you mind maybe emailing me and Harry about the salt since I have you?
Yeah, sure. I think I emailed a little while ago, but I'll send another email because we'd like to have that sort of wrapped up here as November's fast approaching.
Gotcha.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Any other discussions?
So we had Kyle Winkler here, the Zero Waste Wrangler, this last month before. We reached out to them, they're starting to do the collections in Ben Ave Heights. So assuming once they kind of get a little stability in that area, that might expand to other communities down this part. So I'm excited.
Nice.
big news.
Any other discussions?
Well, we need to take a trip where Anthony is there because that looks very nice. The beach.
There's no other discussion, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second, moved, adjourn. Thank
Thanks,
you,
everybody. We'll see you guys November 17th in Edgeworth Borough. Thanks again for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny.